Hey yo, what's good, guys? Welcome to Contrast Comedy. I'm one of your hosts, Daddy B,
And I'm Jerry Corley, aka the Joke Doctor.
and I'm AKA the Joke Doctor's assistant, working on getting my Joke Doctor's license so I don't get sued for malpractice. And welcome to Contrast Comedy, guys, and this is gonna be our another episode. Check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was did you do some more joke writing on the premise?
Yeah, I did some joke writing on, well, not on the, I started doing some listing on the Harry Potter one. I did what you said about listing and doing some of that. And then I started, but I was doing like other, like I was writing on the premises of the AI lover and then breaking that out into like bits. And then I was doing some stuff on the collocations.
Nice, nice. Yeah. Well, the collocations are so much fun because the collocations are just like you make fun of something, right? Right away. Like if you do collocations, what you're making fun of usually is the language, or if, when we hear it used in a sentence, we're going to use all available resources. Oh, it sounds important, but what else would you do? Use all unavailable resources? You know? And you put it in the act out, and then we could see the person of authority out there is like trying to be important, and you're making fun of them.
Yeah, that's what I did with like carefully selected. I made a little bit out of that. I made a couple of little bits out of them, so it's pretty cool. And then like I learned something, or it finally clicked. Yeah, I guess you could say that's what learning is when something finally clicks. It was because it would be such a slog to
That
like
sounds like a broken heel
what does.
if something was clicking.
Oh, something was clicking, right? Something's clicking, broke a hill, or I got lockjaw. But
Broke a
see,
heel.
my mind
Lockjaw, I like it.
my
Yeah.
mind works.
Sounds
My
like she's
mind
got
works.
TMJ. Hey,
TMJ.
babe, maybe we
See?
should take a few days off the blowjobs.
But I just like because I've been in such just like depressive what's the word I'm looking for? Apathetic mindset and all that stuff like that. I'm still showing up to write jokes, but it would just be more like sluggish. Like I'm like in the tar, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
move, but I'm not really like I'm moving, but I'm not like, yeah, this is fun. I'm just checking off boxes. I'm just like just trying to stay in the ring still, right? But
Yeah.
yesterday I decided to like it clicked in my head that I should be asking myself questions. And like at this point, what instead of me just asking the questions out loud and talking them out loud, if I like have the questions, like I'll set up a page. This is the joke I'm gonna write about, and then ask myself these questions, and then break these questions down for these are the questions I'm asking myself when I'm getting ready to come up with the joke. These are the questions I ask myself as I'm writing the joke, and then these are the questions I ask myself once the joke's been completed. It gives me like it doesn't make it such a freaking slog of me doing stuff. And it was like, this is something you've always said. This is something that they always say in the book. You got to ask yourself these questions, and you got to ask yourself the right type of questions instead of asking like the incorrect questions. And incorrect questions I'm always asking is, what's funny about this? What can I make this funny? How can I make this funny? When sometimes it's not, you're not even needing to make it. You don't need, and this is something you always say too, you don't need to make it funny. You just got to logically link it together. And then the coincidence or
Yes,
is
that's
going to make it laugh.
exactly right. Because that's what it's about. The coincidence. It can't be a coincidence if it happens on purpose,
Right.
right? So if you're thinking of making it funny, then you're making it on purpose, and it's like it's going to throw you off. And plus, our idea of what's funny is it has to evolve from when we're younger and we watch comedians. We're like, oh, that's so amazing. How do they do that? That's got to be so clever.
Yeah.
And that's just going to muck it up with cleverness or attempted cleverness, right? So instead of just like when you find that connection in the listing, like in lists and in expanding the list to quotes or sayings, it's like one of the things like once I thought of Black SNape, and I know the actor, and the actor is really profoundly good, right?
Yeah.
And he's got accolades. He's won a BAFTA. He's been in Black Mirror. I love his, the way he approached that character. That I saw him do saw him work, and I'm like, so I think of him as a different black actor, because our perceptions drive the comedy, right?
Yeah.
So when I think United States, I'm thinking Denzel Washington, or I'm thinking like who else would be like in that role, right? It's like Morgan Freeman, or it's like think of a badass. I don't want no motherfucking snakes in my motherfucking plane. Like imagine what the hell's his name? Holy shit, Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah.
So imagine him playing Black Snape. That'd be a whole
Or
different move,
Jonathan
man.
Majors playing Black SNape.
He doesn't. They actually had to change the name of the what was it? Defense Against the Dark Arts. That's what Snape taught, right? Defense Against the Dark Arts. They just kind of changed it to fuck around and find out, motherfucker. Right. So I think that would be
That would be
such a
good.
cool
Yes.
way to have
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson play Black Snape.
Yes. Agreed.
So
That's
I once I
cool.
gave it also a character voice,
Hmm.
also Denzel, because Denzel always plays this cool, can't be ruffled dude, right? So it's like, but he has a quiet approach to it, where Samuel L. Jackson had a loud approach to it, you know.
Yeah. I
And
just
of
like it
course, there's some
too.
more jokes that you could do being a black man
Being Black
yourself.
man. Yeah.
I can't use the N word in that, and that using that in the Harry Potter bit would be hysterical because
Right.
think of Chappelle, because as I was saying, it's like I think in the rant I had, I was like, Chappelle. That's HBO, the original home of the Chappelle Show after Comedy Central, right? So it
Right.
was
Yeah.
like, so
HBO
plus
Max.
his first
Comedy
uh,
special.
special after the break, right? After a 10-year break, I think it was
Or his very first one was Killing Him Softly was on HBO. Or
right,
was that
Killing Him
Showtime?
Softly.
Or was it
Yeah,
Showtime?
no,
I
it
don't
was
know.
HBO.
It
Killing
was
Him
HBO
Softly,
Killing Him
HBO,
Softly? Okay.
definitely.
Yeah.
And so imagine, they went to cast Chappelle in that role. What would that be? Black Snape as Chappelle.
Then they really be freaking tripping on the turf. It'd be double time turf with JK and having Chappelle as freaking Black Snake.
So,
But it's just weird, man. Just the hypocrisy and all that shit. Tripping on the turf shit, but then it's like, but can't have a Black Snake. But then again, though, that's just it's all race. It's just how everybody feels about race swapping, which is strange when it's coming from fictional fucking characters.
oh man, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, let's take a look at this. Like, I saw this gal talking about race swapping. Now she is a black woman,
Real,
right?
real quick, real quick,
Yeah,
real quick,
yeah, yeah.
before this goes out of my head. So, like, one of the people were talking about how, like, in the book in Harry Potter, they clearly describe what Snape looks like: oily black hair, pale, shallow skin, which
Sallow, sallow,
sallow skin. So,
sallow.
which makes me go, okay, what do they say in the Bible about Jesus Christ? Willow or hair like wool, dark. Because I know they've said dark something like, I don't really follow the Bible that much, but I think that'd be something to go with as far as like
There's a lot of
fucking.
comedy in there, bro. You got
My mom's gonna be like, son, I'm so disappointed in you. But yeah, man,
not if you
like
start doing great jokes and getting standing ovations, criticizing it like George Carlin doing religion is bullshit, and then just
yeah,
pointing out all the bullshit. And it's like, and then that makes people go, shit, I never thought about it that way. I love it when people try to proselytize to me, and I'm like, be like, I support Matthew 6:5. Like, what's that? Be not like the hypocrites and pray in the street corners or in the synagogues to be seen of men, but pray in private in thy closet, and thou shalt be rewarded openly. And they're like, where's it say that? I said, you never read the motherfucker, did you? You know? But it's like I love to just grab, I read it, and it's like because I wanted to be in a debate with my
yeah.
brother-in-law at the time, uh, you know, who's Catholic, and then
Mhm.
divorced my wife. So we see how he followed it, right? So basically, he's an adulterer, and he should be stoned to death according to the Bible. If you want to believe in that shit, bro, I read it, so I'm here to stone you.
No, man.
I'm gonna
You
find
want
him.
the Mary, you want the granddaddy perp, or you want this thick Girl Scout Thin Mints? What were you gonna pull up?
Oh, yeah. So anyway, yeah, you start bringing up the race swapping, right?
Yeah.
And how that's now become an issue. And of course, I'll give this gal a pass because part of what she's doing is part of
Race
what she's
baiting.
Yeah, she's looking for the clout of the trending phrase, right? Race
Hmm.
swap. So she makes that her thing. So I had to leave a comment for her as like, and we'll get into what part of what she says. But she's like so ignorant. That's like your ignorance is glaring. First of all, the Harry Potter books don't mention race or color of skin. They suggest a medical description of sallow, which means discolored, usually from malnutrition or anemia. And it's like, certainly that is not only something experienced by white people. Secondly, if you were white, you'd probably be called a racist. Thirdly, if you did an ounce of fucking homework, you'd know the pronunciation of a very accomplished actor, Papa Essiedu, which is basically Papa Essiedu, or like SEA do. You know, it's just like nuclear, pretend it's skincare cream, nuclear, not nuclear. Because, you know, how come, bitch, you got a show. And if like you got a show, and she's got a lot of followers. She got like 2.43 million subscribers, like a lot more than I got. But wouldn't you take a moment to see if you could uncover the pronunciation of this name? You
No,
know,
they want to get
you
quick.
know,
They want to
it's
get quick clicks.
Paapa and then Essiedu, right? It's just Essiedu. And so I went and I said, it sounds like SEA right? But I'll go check it out because I don't
Right.
know. I'm white, right? It's like, and white people are normally very dumb when it comes to linguistics.
Oh yes,
So
quesadilla.
yeah, quesadilla, you know, Sepulveda.
Sam
Uh,
Puebli.
right. So it's like pale color doesn't refer just to white people. Any skin tone can be pale. Read a damn book. And it's just like, secondly, dude, we did Black Spider-Man. But we did
Miles
in the
Morales.
when we did the animated. What was that one?
That was Into the Spider Verse with Miles Morales.
I thought that I at first I was like, oh, this is gonna suck. It's because I didn't when I went to go see it, I didn't know it was animated. I just wanted to go
Hmm.
see a movie with my side piece, and uh, not a side piece, just a friend,
It's a friend. It's a
right? You
friend.
know. Anyway, so
Ah,
it was way back when it was released, right? So it was
yeah.
released. We wanted something to do after a class, and we went to go see the midnight showing of this, and I was like, oh, animated. That's not what I anticipated. It was terrific.
Yeah.
I
But it
enjoyed it a
wasn't
lot.
race swapping either, though, because it was all it was just making a different person, Peter, or making a different person Spider Man. And the moral behind that, what Stan Lee always wanted was, it doesn't matter what your color is. It's the, it doesn't matter who you are underneath the mask, as long as you're just being a hero. And that was
Well,
the whole
yeah,
point.
well,
Yeah.
that's kind of what J.K. Rowling said in one of her things was doesn't matter what, you know, the character, that's why she kind of wrote it that way, so the character could be anybody.
Ugh.
It doesn't have to be white or black or anything, but they, you know, people reading in pale or sallow, and that means it's only white. I was like, nope, so it was like, could be anything. So it's like, and I think in art form, this is an art piece, right? And so people
Hmm.
are just now. Don't be a cultist. When you're a cultist, that's when you start to think you
Like
can't be
Star
another
Wars fans.
character. Yeah, exactly, and that's what they're coming out of this Harry Potter thing. But let's take a look at this lady, and it's like it was interesting because originally I started looking up how to make sure how to pronounce Esiedu, right?
Hmm.
So instead, I found this woman and I wanted to listen. I was like, my again perception. I fucking I basically just made a what's the word I'm looking for here? Um, I based a perception on the first glance, right? So it's anchoring. I see a black woman. I'm like, she should know how to pronounce it, you know? And it's like, and she doesn't know how to pronounce it, you know? So, and I'm like, oh man, we gotta watch. And then the more I watched this, I was like, the more I was embarrassed. Because it's like now she pop. You see that? You can see
Oh,
that,
she's a
right?
swirl.
You see a swirl? How about now? You see this?
No, I mean she's a swirl, meaning she's not a darkie. She's a mix. She's either mixed
She,
or she's light skinned.
I'm glad you're saying that because if I said that, people go, oh, this guy is racist. He just said darky.
Conversation. I
And they
feel like
say
this
black
controversy
people
pops up
can't be
every now and then,
racist.
and we have to unpack yet another character that has been swapped out for the sake of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And today we're doing it in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. There's a lot of pissed off people about this next one. Now, of course, this pertains to the HBO streaming series that's coming out soon about Harry Potter. We all know that J.K. Rowling has been working very closely with the creative team that is working on this project, although I don't know what her role is in the casting. HBO recently came out and defended her work on this project, saying, despite her personal political beliefs, Homegirl is going to be working on the show because we kind of need the author. But if they needed the author, maybe they would reference the original source material when it comes to the description of characters. Apparently they've decided to just ignore that, I guess, in this casting announcement. Now, this has to do with the character Severus Snape, you know, Professor Snape. He's kind of this dark figure in the Harry Potter world when we first get introduced to him in movie number 1. And of course, if you're Harry Potter book fans, we're about to briefly get into his description here. But it seems as though this role has been offered to an actor by the name of Papa Esidu. I hope I said his name right. Sorry, Papa. And this announcement's come out, and it's getting a lot of responses. Of course, people are saying, I know what Severus Snape looks like. I know that professor, and I don't think that he's a black man. And it's not to come after this actor in any way, shape, or form. It seems like he has a pretty lengthy set of work. I can imagine he's a good actor, and he's going to take on this role and try to, the best of his abilities, to be loyal to the source material and to put on a good show for everybody who's going to watch. But it's interesting to see these changes being made as we've been living in the Hollywood that has focused itself on diversity, equity, and inclusion for quite some time, and it's hard to believe that this race swap is not a part of the culture that's been placed and poured onto entertainment over the last few years. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the original description of what Professor Snape is meant to look like, we actually have this from the Harry Potter books. JK's description says, thin man with sallow skin, a large hooked nose, and yellow uneven teeth. He had shoulder-length, greasy black hair, which framed his face in curtains, curling lips, and dark penetrating eyes that resembled tunnels. And you even have, you know, that little cartoon animated version of Severus Snape. And, you
fictional
know,
character.
It's not really working out. I don't know how exactly you get shoulder-length, greasy black hair on the actor that they've presumably offered this.
It's like, bitch,
He can give him a wig. It's called
a
perm.
wig. You should know about that. You know, I'm like, man, she is focused too much on the white side of her family for too long.
Seriously, bro. Seriously, man.
She's losing out on all the culture.
She definitely wants. She's not getting invited. She lost her pass. She lost her pass to the cookout. But that is that is a lot of people are. No,
dude, that was my joke.
Yeah, she's lost her.
Yeah, I said she lost her pass to the barbecue, and you said she lost her pass to the cookout, and it was like you just like that was funny. That was good. Yes. That was so good. You weren't even reading my mind.
No, she's gonna get an extra helping of potato salad with raisins.
That's exactly, which is why I'm like so even as a white dude, I'm like, bitch is racist. Listen to like, oh, there's no way that he could like. What is your background in this? Because it's like, you said you thought she was part of like half and half or something like that.
To me, she looks like she's half because she has like the same.
Oh, I thought she was actually maybe she was an actress in the series.
No. I'm saying she's like half, like her race is half white, half black or something. Just because she looks like her complexion is like of that of my kids, or like Tia, or maybe I don't know. Is Tia and Tamara? Are they mulatto? But she looks.
Well, her name is Amala. I didn't even take time to try to look up her name pronunciation.
It, right?
Ekpunobi, Ekpunobi, Ekpunobi. But it was like she's got quite a following on YouTube. So as far as that's concerned, what she's doing is spreading more ignorance to a wide audience. And because she's not doing her research or even looking, she's such a linear thinker, right? And it's like, that's, you know, basically, why do most people think Severus Snape is white? Anchoring. That's basically, it's psychology. Our first exposure to something, the first piece of information we hear about or see about something is what we focus on, and that becomes it. No matter if new information is introduced, it's just like, you know, them saying that, you know, in order for an organism to survive, we need oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon. If without that, there can't be a surviving organism. And then they send a submersible submersible down below 5,000 feet in the ocean, and they find an organism who's thriving on just helium at that level. And there's like, oh, wait a second, does that mean we have to review all of our considerations for how an organism survives? You know? And it's like, yeah, it does, but they don't put it out there. They're just like, oh, we're going to
No.
stick with the thing because it's easier for the linear people to go with that rather than to really look at with the new information. So yeah, it's called anchoring. And if you know how people think, that's exponential thinking versus linear thinking. And comedians, just by writing jokes, start to develop their ability for linear thinking because it's introducing alternate realities,
yeah.
alternate suggestions, opposite of expected, you know.
Or
if
level
you
thinking.
Yeah, if you saw a sign that said, straws and utensils available upon request, you're automatically going to draw the conclusion that we're in a fast food restaurant. But what
Right.
if you're like, I saw a sign that said straws and utensils upon request. Man, that is one weird sign to see at a mortuary.
Right.
And it's
Or-
like,
Or one word sign is at a rub and tug. Takes eating ass to a whole new level.
Oh man, that's like a rub and tug. Hey, they offer a new happy ending, eating ass. Man, that's funny. Good one. Yes. So yes, in this case, I don't know, man. It's just why, it's too bad Alan Rickman was dead, because then maybe they could do a role swap and have him in Black Panther, Yeah. But think about it. Severus Snape taught the dark arts, defense
Right.
against the dark arts. I think that was HBO's racism kicking in, or maybe Chappelle going, let's get the brother to teach defense against the dark arts because he would have a clue. Right.
He'd be all militant.
Yeah. He's shoving a Malcolm X baseball cap,
Right. Where's my bean pie at?
That's funny.
But
why?
it's all the whole, it's just like, again, it's the culture wars. But then again, too, it's one of those things where it's all fun and games until it hits your own fan base. Like, I never got into the whole, like, oh, they're race swapping, this is bullshit. But like, one of my favorite shows is Quantum Leap. And there was a show back with Scott Bakula, and loved that show. Well, they remade the show, and the main character is now Asian. And I'm just like, I love Asian people. I love Asian people. I love Asian culture. I love Asian food. But just the main character of Quantum Leap being Asian, I'm just not feeling it, man. It's just, I can't watch the show. I can't watch the show. I'm not writing letters and making it seem like I hate Asian people, but I just can't watch the show. It's like, why couldn't he just be white or at least make him black?
Yeah, exactly. And it makes me think of like how many people don't do their homework in like certainly the arts. And in this case, one of the original things I was taught as an actor is this quote from Terence, right? A playwright back in the good old days, right? It is Umani nilame alienum puto. Puto, bitch.
Puto, bitch.
Which is I am human in regard nothing human is foreign to me. Meaning, as an actor, since I am human, I can play anything that is human, or I can identify with any human emotion. Anything that is human is not alien to me. Therefore, as an actor, I can play any role, right? As long as I can.
That's a slippery slope, though.
Embody that role, right?
Because what about what was it?
Except in porn, I can't play the big dick guy.
No, but God, Scarlett Johansson, wasn't she supposed to play like she was gonna play like someone who was transitioning, like a man transitioning to a woman, but they're like, you could just get someone who's transitioning to play that role, right? But her thing was like, hey, I'm an actor, I should be able to play whatever I want to play, right?
Well,
I mean, it's a slippery slope when it comes to all that, because it's all about the whole inclusion.
As far as being able to play it, or as far as equity and inclusion?
I guess it's being, at least the way I saw it is like, if someone was to use that as their line of like, I'm an actor, I should be able to play whatever, then my mind goes into like, well, why couldn't Scarlett Johansson be able to play someone transitioning? She's an actor, she should be able to play whatever. But we were like, no, or society was like, no, that can't be. There needs to be someone of transitioning. And then again, too, it's also like with Scarlett Johansson and Ghost in the Shell. Instead of them finding like an Asian actress or Asian actor to play the main character, they freaking got Scarlett Johansson to play an Asian person in an anime. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally get what you're saying. You know, it's the argument also, like my student Dawn, who's got cerebral palsy. You know, when they chose what's his name to play, who's the famous
Daniel Day-Lewis in My Left Foot.
nope, but when they did the what's his name, Stephen Hawking, who would they choose to play the role of Stephen Hawking?
Was it Christian Bale?
No. I think it was who played. I think it was. Oh, jeez, it's a name.
Oh, it's the dude who's always in all those.
He wins everything, man. He's like
he's always in the Christopher Nolan movies.
Eddie Redmayne. Eddie Redmayne.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah,
Eddie Redmayne played Stephen Hawking.
The guy in Jackal.
They could have picked somebody who was already, you know, disabled, but they chose to go with Eddie Redmayne. And the point of acting is acting. You know, whereas actors complain, you see some casting breakdowns, and they're looking for, we need an EMT, preferably a real EMT. Why? Because you can't write authentic fucking lines.
So you need to ask the
so you need
EMT
you need an EMT to come there and also consult you on your damn film. Tell you what, write the fucking lines. I'll come in and play a fucking EMT. Okay. It's absurd. They're missing what the art form is. That's why, you know, that's why a lot of actors go back to stage to reconnect with the true understanding of the art, which is, I'm going to take a role and play it the other way. And it's like, it's all Shakespeare. Remember back in the day, women were not allowed to be in plays.
No.
So it was all men, even playing the female roles. Now, these days, you'd have the fucking Republicans trying to arrest them.
All out, right? What's this homosexual Romeo and Juliet? No, sir. We're just keeping it.
We're trying to be originally Shakespearean about this.
We're trying to keep it.
And what I find interesting is this. I remember getting this argument with my dad. I went to go see a Hamlet. No, it wasn't Hamlet. No, it wasn't Hamlet. It was oh shit. The Ramulets and the Romulans and the Capulets. It was
Capulets. Is the Capulets Romeo and Juliet?
Romeo and Juliet, right? So I went to go see an original sort of thing on Romeo and Juliet. And it's like when it was basically based on, it was kind of like a mob version based in the 1940s, right? Family against family type of thing. And I was telling my dad I went to go see that play and expected him to go, well, that's great, son. Instead, he was like really against the idea that you're taking the original text and putting in this framework. And I said, oh, Dad, you don't get it, man. It's like, do you know how long it would take to get people into the grind or into the groove of reading Shakespeare and understanding it? They're now taking it and giving it something that people can relate to. And now you hear the same lines being used, but they're mobsters, right? And it helps you to reinterpret what they're saying and understand what they're saying, so it can get more people into it and go, oh shit, I get it now, right? And it's still, plus it's an artistic interpretation. Why wouldn't you be for that? You know, it's like, well, you don't get locked into your anchoring of what you think it should be, because you did something which made you a big thing at the Actors Studio back in the day when you reinterpreted Shakespeare based on what it really is. It's a 15, 16-year-old boy trying to determine whether or not he's man enough to kill his uncle who fucked his mom and killed his dad, right? And so you basically, in the scene where he has the sword, you took a feather and you were acting out this role of, you know, to be or not to be for Hamlet, right? So remember that you did that, and it was like everybody goes, to be or not to be. You know, that's not a 15, 16-year-old boy. I don't give a shit what day and age you lived in, what era you lived in. You're still a 15, 16-year-old kid with only 15, 16 years of life experience.
Right.
So you're like, shit, do I have the balls to kill this man and show that I'm a man? Can I be a man and take out the man who murdered my father? You know, fuck my mom. I'm gonna kill this motherfucker, right? It's like, you know, and all you have to do is study who are the two kids that are on trial, going to get retried, get resentenced, right? Retried, right?
The
There's
Menendez brothers are being
Menendez brothers, yeah.
they're being
Can I be a
retried
Menendez
again?
brother right now? Oh, hell yeah.
Are they being retried because of like everything that people are doing to try to like say that they were because like they didn't really like look at their side of it and how they were
Yeah,
abused
they
and
didn't.
everything?
They didn't look at the side of how they were abused, and I think that's part of it. I didn't do enough research on that to
Yeah.
know, but I think it has something to do with that.
It's crazy, man. Crazy.
I think your father's fucking raping you.
Yeah, and then raping the
Menendez,
no Manula. What's the boy band? Manula or what?
Menudo.
Yeah, Ricky Martin was in them too. Their dad did something to one of their members too.
Oh, you mean like the Jacksons?
Yeah, right. It's like all these.
Oh my God, it seems to be. That's what we assume. I don't know if the facts are actually there, but you know, Michael didn't come out that way because he was like just artistic.
No, this is because Hollywood is.
It's not just Hollywood, man. Like, let's go. We can go to
People
like
with power
we can go to the
just,
Republican
yeah.
politics, right?
No, yeah,
See all
yeah,
that shit
yeah,
going on
people
there.
with
Holy
power.
shit! Like these guys are fucking everything. Like
People with power will do some
fuck up some
kinky,
shit,
crazy
man.
shit. Yes.
I think once you have money, you get tired, right? You need to
Yeah, they get
invent new
bored,
shit
and
to
so
fuck
they end up
around
doing all
with.
this other crazy ass shit.
Well, you know, they think about when you're talking about you know, women yeah, actors getting it's like look at Charlize Theron. She did some stuff and like where she played a boy that was or trying to be a boy and then like she was raped by those, you know, rednecks.
Oh, the Monster?
I
Or
think it was
the
Monster. Yeah.
Monster
Yeah.
was a good that movie. Woo,
She was
man. She
fantastic. Amazing, right?
great.
And so
Definitely
like
deserved an Oscar or whatever she won for that one.
and she's a you know she supports trans community just like you know vehemently supports them. She's
Yeah.
like at one of the I think it was one of the award shows she was like Oscar you know she Oscar winner said I'll fuck anybody up for who comes for drag queens. We're in your corner. I'm like, yeah,
There you go.
that's the
That's
language
what's
the
up.
left needs to use.
That's
Stop
what's
fucking
up.
writing strongly worded emails and start fighting fire with fire. Take these guys, they're all fucking pussies. Like, take these guys and get right up in their face. Stop pretending to be, oh, we're above that. We're above that. You know, bitch, we're not above that. We're street fight. We got to get out there and dust
get
off
out
those
there.
muskets, people, because they're coming for your shit.
Oh, coming for all of it, man.
Because
Coming
they
for
were
all of
showing
it.
videos. They're showing these videos, right? Of and you know, when you I try to make sure if I find myself doom scrolling more than 3 videos, I'm like out. Get the fuck. I hear
Get
my
out.
dad's voice. Out. Can I get out of there? Right? Because it's like because
Yeah,
you
get
next
the
thing you know, it's
citations.
45 minutes you're in there. You're
Yeah.
just looking at what did I just accomplish from this? Nothing. Right. So there, but I saw this video of these supposed ICE people, and they're not ICE people. They haven't gone through the ICE training. They haven't gone through Homeland Security. They're basically recruited Proud Boys that are now so-called deputized. This happened right there in San Diego. So I'm thinking of
shit.
you, right? And I'm thinking of you down there in
Damn.
San Diego, and they basically broke down a garage door, just fucking beat the shit out, broke down this garage door to seize whoever was inside that facility or house or
Damn.
whatever it was. And it was like, you know, and they went in, right? I didn't see a warrant. I didn't say they were, and they're not ICE. They're these this militia,
Mhm.
right? And they're coming to my house. I wrote in you know, as the alter ego, you know, shoot the motherfuckers, right? This we're getting into the Fourth Amendment, search and seizure,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
You can't just come into my house, right? You better show me a warrant before you step foot on my property. You do, I'm gonna blow you the fuck away. And I bet you, if these motherfuckers who think they're all badass are gonna think twice about keeping this job if somebody shoots at them. If somebody
100%.
just decides to defend their property, right? And it's like, you know, and it's like, you know how I know these motherfuckers that they sent to El Salvador weren't MS-13? Because MS-13 would have fought back,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, the picture of the tattoo, those look like type.
Oh,
That looks
that's
like that was
fucking-
composed on
It
there.
is, and if he does have these little tattoos on there, none of them mean anything like that. Have you seen an MS-13 person who was arrested and they take a picture of their tattoos? It says right on their back, MS-13. It's no fucking hidden
That's
symbolism.
other.
People aren't fucking astrology worshippers. They're not like, oh, let's do kids hieroglyphics. They don't do that shit, man. They spell it out. They want to let you know. They're not afraid. Trump is so full of shit. They're just gaslighting and people are falling for this shit. Yes. They actually have these symbols and then they put on the image. See, marijuana stands for M. S is the sun. It's like a skull. It's like, and 1 3. See, 1 3. This stands for 1, and that's a 3. MS-13. First of all, they tried to superimpose it. They probably tried to, basically make those letters look like it was a part of the tattoo. Yes. And then it was like, then they were like, it doesn't look right. They'll fall for it.
These just use this motherfuckers. Just use Times Roman font. It'll work.
He's like, dude, you're talking to red hats. They'll fall for anything.
Dude, 100%, bro. 100%. Shit is wild. So wild, man.
Oh man, the red hats are coming. The red hats are coming. The red hats are coming. It's time. It's time, bro. It's time.
They're here.
And it's like, you better have an election fast and turn the Congress over and impeach this motherfucker because there's going to be a war, right? And it's like, I don't have a gun yet, but I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it just because of this, right?
It's wild. It's
come in my house. And it's like, that's the same thing. It's like I tell my gardeners all the time, dudes, you need a place to stay? You need a place to hide? Come over.
That's good.
Right? And there's like, I said, so it's like, because at one point I noticed there was a female blowing with a leaf blower. I said, did one of the dudes have to get his wife to come in to fill in for a dude that was apprehended? Because it was the morning I was coming home from a gig. And I was on the road and on the highway and I see these two, black vans, unmarked black vans pulling over, like 3 pickup trucks with gardening equipment in the back. Oh, I said, no, this isn't like AAA coming to help them out.
No.
This is like Nazis, right? And the secret police. I was like, they're unmarked cars. First of all, to anybody who's listening to this thing, all 3 of you, it's right. Like if a car tries to pull you over in the state of California, and it does not have emblems on the doors or in the back, doesn't say highway patrol or anything like that, doesn't have any identification on it, you do not have to pull over, period. State of California, California Vehicle Code says anybody who tries to pull you over must have an emblem on their door and identify themselves. You wait, you keep driving until they get somebody else who does have an emblem. If they get assistance from highway patrol, then the law says you have to pull over. But, if it's just them by themselves, it's about a survival thing. Yes. Then it's about, look, if they're going to send you out anyway, fucking run. What are they going to do? Just run. You don't need to stick around and wait to see how quickly they'll ship you out to Venezuela or El Salvador. Are you kidding me? You can't take people, you can't claim it's wartime. No Congress has declared war and use a wartime act, the Alien Enemies Act. Yes. To just take people, throw them on planes and get them out without due process. It's like, read the fucking Constitution. You seem to have no problem reading the Second Amendment. Why don't you take a moment to read the 22nd or the 14th? You can't just take people and get them out and send them out without due process. Let me explain that. They need to be able to have a hearing and a review by a judge, period. Anybody who sets foot on American soil is entitled to this.
These deportations are not carefully selected.
No. Yeah. Fuck, that pisses me off. I hate bullies. I just hate bullies.
No, this is what it is.
And I think it boils down to that. I think I hate people who pick on the marginalized just to make themselves feel so powerful. And that's a lot of this alpha male bullshit, this red pill bullshit. I'm a red pill alpha male. And it's like, dude, you're not anything because even that branding it belongs to the Matrix.
And they were freaking
right. The authors were trans. So it's like, glad to see you motherfuckers are woke.
It's an analogy for transitioning.
Dude, I even had a dream. I've been saying motherfucker a lot. I've had a dream. I was doing I was doing an event. I was doing stand-up, and it was at a school. right?
Mhm.
And it was a school that had college, but also high school, and I think maybe even middle school kids there. And I said, motherfucker. Uh, and it got a big like burst of a quick laugh, and then everything shut down, right? Because the
Right?
kids were looking, the administrators were there too. And I
Standards and
explained,
practices are like, sir, Mr.
yeah,
Corley, we need to talk to you.
I explained what happened. Basically, when you're on the road and you're emotionally involved in, this is a great time to learn about brain science, kids, because when your brain cannot think simultaneously, it can only think sequentially, which is why you had a burst of laughter and then you judged yourself. The same thing with me. I was so emotionally wrapped up in this moment that the words came out without me thinking about them because I can't think about where I am and what I'm saying emotionally, really authentically being emotionally involved in what I'm saying at the same
Yeah.
time. So either we can take this as a lesson of how the brain works and an understanding of why this word came out. Otherwise, it's going to just ruin the entire event.
Okay.
But it's like it's like when you have to, but as a parent, when you're a parent, right, you have to think of that stuff. You can't be saying stuff without thinking it through before you say it in front of your kids.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I can't say how many times now I gotta like watch myself around Coda because he's picking up on stuff.
They are absorbing stuff at record
And then
rates.
like or like the way or like the tone. Because like sometimes if I'm just being very passive with him and I'm just kind of like wanting to blow him off, I'll be like, okay, Coda, sure, whatever. And like so sometimes I'll just say that.
Now he heard his name.
Yes, exactly. So sometimes I'll be like, okay, Coda, and it'll be like, you're saying it like I'm like, dude, sorry, man. I didn't like it's not my tone. I'm just saying, okay, dude. But yeah, man, they pick up on a lot.
Pick up on a lot. It's like when my daughter, she was like 2.5, she's playing with blocks. She's like, look, Daddy, an upside down 2 is a 5. And I was like, yeah, and a 6 is a 10 if you're drunk. Hopefully she didn't quite get that, but
Coda's
I
all
don't
like,
think I was,
so yesterday I did the car, and he's all like, Dad, if someone's drunk and there's 4 cars, if there's 4 cars on the road, would their vision double and they see 8 cars? And instead of me just being like, yeah, dude, for your math question, that's totally correct. I go on the full like scientific mode. Like, well, no, son, you can't actually see 4 cars. What's really going on is their vision's blurred. And as I'm saying all this in my head, I'm like, dude, you're talking to a 6-year-old, bro. Like, just be like, yes, to answer your math question, yes, it's 8.
I'd be like, where did you get this from?
Like, I'm like, what are you watching on YouTube, dude?
What are you
like,
exposed to that's I remember one time my brother and I, it was after my I think my dad got sick or I think my mother died or something like that. And they had a vacation house in Tahoe. And we had to go up to Tahoe basically and sort of help start to clean it out and all that stuff like that. And so we go up to Tahoe. Of course, we're in Tahoe. We're gonna go gamble and party a little bit,
Yeah.
right? So we went to a casino, and it's one of the first times I was with my brother, and he was partying, right? And he can fucking throw him down, right? And he drove there, and we go from the casino driving probably about 3 miles up to the property,
Okay.
and and he's driving on this road, and on the 50, and he's like driving about like I think 20, and he was so fucked up. He goes, dude, there's 4 lanes on this road. I go, dude, there's only 2. He was like, he goes, there's 4. I see 4, bro. I see 4. I said, we'll stay in the middle. I remember this conversation. I was like, you should just pull over right now. There was no Ubers then. You couldn't just call somebody. But we made it home, thank God. But I mean, I'm surprised we driving like 20. It's 50 miles an hour on this road. But yeah, he was seeing like a bunch of lanes, so it was like really hysterical.
That's funny.
And nobody's on the road, it was like 2 in the morning.
Right? Just stay in the middle.
Man,
Stay in the middle, bro.
Stay in the middle. Stay in the middle. So yeah, man, that's what else were we talking about?
We talked about that.
You're talking about collocations, right?
Yeah, the collocations. I did some jokes on collocations. One of them I did was why do we say unsolved mystery? Isn't that the whole point of a mystery? Once it's solved, yeah, once it's solved,
What's a solve? It's just a.
it's not. Yeah, it's about like once it's solved, it's not a mystery anymore. It's just history.
Right, right.
That's like
it should just be called results.
results. History with results. That's like going. That's like going to an escapable escape room, which, if we're being honest, is just a prison with really well designed puzzles.
I always like the redundancy that we hear a lot of people do is like, I was up at 3 a.m. in the morning.
I always do that one. That
I
one.
know. I think I called you out on that
You
one,
called me
right?
out on that one all
It's
the
like
time.
3 a.m. in the morning. I go, as opposed to 3 a.m. in the evening.
Evening.
But it's fun to because people get used to such a rhythm. Like, I also don't like the phrase "I love them to death," especially when they refer to their kids. Man, I love them to death. What, to death?
To death.
Why do you want to introduce death in a love scenario, dude?
There's like easy there. Oh my god, what's her name? Oh my god, I can't. She's a TikTok influencer. Uh, what's her name? She just it.
I love him to death.
She killed her. She killed her daughter. Oh, easy there, Casey Anthony.
Oh, right. Yeah, I love him to death.
Love him to death. All
That's
right
funny.
there,
You
Casey
should
Anthony.
take that and use that as a joke, right? Because
Right?
you've
Yeah.
said love him to death, right? It's like, and as you start to get older, you start to think more exponentially than linearly. Like I get locked into these phrases, and it's like, and they don't make. And when I think about them now, they're not really making sense. And comedy kind of introduces that because you start thinking of like peeling back the layer. What am I really saying here? And it's like, George Carlin said, just peel back a couple of layers, and you find the unassailable truth. And it's like most people are linear; they just stick with what they know. They get anchored in what they know. And it's like, I realized how much psychology this man put into his comedy
Oh,
and
100%.
human behavior. And that's what I'm investigating now, right? It's like I'm going down the deep rabbit hole with some fucking shit on that. But it all makes sense, right? So, when you're saying like, I love him to death, like, you're like, what are you saying there? Love him to death. Why do you want to put, death in a love scenario? And it's like, easy there, Casey Anthony. That's a great line, right? So what else do you say? Things like that. But we'll say words, put them together, you know. It's like, why don't you put in love them to how they achieve their death? Man, I love them to the point where I stick that knife deep inside their heart,
I love them till I can't. If I can't be with them anymore, no one can be with them.
Yeah, if I can't be with her, nobody's going to be with her, man. Then you don't really love her, really, dude. Because if you love somebody, really, if you love somebody unconditionally, she leaves you for somebody else. Shouldn't you be happy that she's happy? Oh shit! Wow, I didn't know that.
Right.
Well, I didn't know how's that work out. No, because you're narcissistic. Because you want it's for me or nobody else. That's not love, bro. That's narcissism.
100%, man.
Fucking A.
100%, dude.
Each and every. Absolutely essential.
Absolutely essential. I didn't do that one. I did a
just in case so essential was too vague or too ambiguous. Absolutely essential. A new innovation.
Because the innovation isn't something that's already not new.
Yeah. Right. So as
opposed to like
I made some future projections.
Innovation.
Yeah. So right, exactly. I made some future projections. These are projections that are based on yesterday. So that's it's so, and you're just examining. So when you're thinking about the reason I came up with these, I was thinking about this, and I was like, I have this little note in my Evernote, and the note is basically when I was doing, my son had his wedding. And there was the band was warming up everything, playing. People are coming in and to the dinner part of it, reception part of it, and the band's playing, and they're going to sit down at the tables and find there's assigned seating and the whole thing. There's not 150 people there, right? It's a big wedding, and so I sit down, and then the band's still playing. Then the band decides they're going to take a break, and the food's not coming out yet for another 20 minutes. So I was like,
time to kill.
I'm thinking my son had mentioned something earlier about doing stand up, right? Yeah, and
Mhm.
he'd be like, and so I was waiting for him to come over and go, "Hey, Dad, you want to do 10 minutes while, we're waiting for the food to come out?" And because I think he said later he was thinking about doing that, but he didn't want to bother me.
Mhm.
I said, bother me? That would have, fuck yeah, right?
Dude,
So I even
that's what I'm
wrote
here
down on the
for.
plane what material would I do for my son's wedding? Because there's a
Uh,
mix, right? There's like
yeah.
her family, our family, some kids are there. What material could I do? And this is some of the stuff I came up with, like the word games, things that we think about, like so it's absolutely clean. If you think about, doing that, people just, they laugh at those ideas because it's like we've heard it, we're familiar with the phrase, but we
Yeah.
don't peel back one layer to realize it's fucking redundant.
Yeah. Breaking it down to the simplest core.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to lose 20 pounds or more legitimately, call 1-800-555-1212. Dude, if you're losing legitimately as opposed to illegitimately, because if you're losing 20 or more pounds illegitimately, isn't that a Texas abortion?
Abortion.
As no
Right.
longer weight loss, that's a felony. You know, fucking Governor Hot Wheels is gonna come for you then.
Oh, watch out, man! Don't be calling it. Don't
Fuck
be saying
that.
government Hot Wheels. That's
Yeah, I know.
they get the ADA on you.
Oh yeah, you're making fun of a disabled person. How dare I do that, right? Hey, if the president can do it, I can do it. Isn't that right? Isn't that how this works? He's a role model.
Miss Governor Hot Wheels, man. They're going after Jasmine. They're just trying to get her.
Oh yeah, oh, I love that.
Jasmine Crackett.
Yeah, Jasmine, she could have like, she doesn't want to get caught up in that because it's easy for them to judge, but Jasmine's smart too. She's
Yeah,
just, if you listen to her on the House floor, man, everybody's afraid when they give her the mic because she'll peel apart any one of these Republicans. Look, when you're not living in truth and you're trying to gaslight to cover the fact that this policy of yours is supposed to be humane
or
or
good for your
appropriate or
constituents.
represent American philosophy and our traditions, and you're trying to gaslight sending somebody in a fucking plane without due process, that is so un-American. It makes my asshole hurt. And it's like, I should say makes my asshole itch. That's a
Right?
better one, right?
Just really makes it itch, yeah.
Uh,
Makes you want to get some corn.
because I'm thinking about basically, we're basically at Republicans trying to fist us, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that's what they're doing. We could tell the difference,
Uh,
right? So it's like, you can't sit there and gaslight your way around that. You can't because it's like it's very clear. They should know better. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. No, we're all taught we're against illegal search and seizure. It's like, well, they're illegal aliens. They're still entitled to due process. Anybody who steps on American soil, that's what makes America so unique in this world, is entitled to due process. So if they come into the United States, they have a right to seek asylum. That is the entire tradition of what made the United States great. That's what the Statue of Liberty represents, dumbasses, right? It's like it
that's what they
doesn't
want you
say,
to think. That's not what they
you know,
really want
the
to happen,
the
though.
the etching says, "Bring us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses." It doesn't say we take Visa.
And traveler's checks.
Yeah, no, we don't take traveler's checks anymore. That's old school. Venmo.
Or Ethereum or Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, holy shit, man. Holy shit. It's like, do we not see how fucking crazy this world has become right now with these dumbasses and in these like I've never, man, the level of stupidity. And it's like, do I want to say stupidity? Because I'm trying to think, these people are human beings, man. Don't sit there and berate them. Maybe it's just they got anchored into the cult,
Yeah.
right? They got anchored into the cult, man, because it's all cultish thinking. The same thing that draws people into religion. It gives us a chance to judge everybody and we could feel superior.
And then we belong tribalism.
That's right. Because their
Yeah.
daddies didn't bring them up right.
Yep.
And
And
then
plus,
now,
money talks so loud they can't hear their own
oh my
consciousness.
God, holy shit. It's like unbelievably stupid people out there, just dumb, dumb people. It's like,
Very
and
dumb.
if you get like with Trump, he's not the brightest guy in the world. right? He's just not the brightest. He's bragging about taking a cognitive test that is given to people who have dementia. He's bragging about passing that. Anybody who's bragging about passing a cognitive test is not very bright. And if you're like falling for somebody who's not bright, how bright does that make you? If you're being conned by a guy that brags about passing a fucking dementia test and thinks that makes him smart, he thinks it's an IQ test, then how bright does that make you? But again, people are too linear.
That's their plan.
They're anchored into the cult. They don't think, peel back a layer and go, oh shit. That's like, you can fact check anything. If only we had a device where we could fact check our shit to make sure I'm on the right page. Because originally I went, wait a second, I heard something about Trump having an IQ of 76. I don't buy it. I want to buy it. Every ounce of me was to go, that guy's a dumb motherfucker. IQ of 76. That sounds about right. I'm going to go with that. But I'm like, I don't buy it. That's somebody, the guy who was like convicted of making a murderer. And he was the guy they were interviewing and interrogating over and over and over again. And all he wanted to do is go home and play with his fucking G.I. Joe. And he's 18 years old or something like that. You know, this poor guy doesn't function at a normal level of
he functions more like Lenny from Of Mice and Men.
Exactly. Who was played by James Earl Jones, by the way. When my dad did it on Broadway, and he was fucking amazing.
Oh, cool. I can imagine James Earl Jones.
I saw it 24 times, and every single night at the same time, he would blubber like a baby, and snot would come out of his nose. Snot would come out of his nose, and I'd be like, he's got to have a capsule in there or something. I was 12, right? And I even asked him later on. And he just, and it would fill my dad, they would commiserate my dad's dressing room. And to just hear the echo inside, his voice would just fill that room.
Booming voices.
And I'm 12 going, oh, wow, he's so amazing. And he would be like, do you use a capsule in there? And he just laughed. And he explained to me what acting was. And I was like, wow, do you ever think about a time like if you ever have a dog die or something like that, and you really think about that, and you take yourself back to that moment, and your eyes just well up with tears just because of, is it happening in that moment? No, it's a memory. So you're taking yourself back to that memory. But you don't want to take yourself back to the emotion. Just take it back to that memory, the colors, the sounds, the smells, the textures, petting the dog. And I remember having a dog that died, is removing the collar. And he's like, and I started to cry because we had that thing about the dog. And I remember getting the last pets in for this dog and being so emotional as a 7-year-old. I was like, oh, wow, that's acting? Now you just say the words that are in the script while you're remembering this moment. And I was like, oh shit. And then later on I heard it was like substitution, emotional recall. And I was going, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, disassociation with your memories.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what's up.
All right, man. I think we're holy shit, 2:15 already.
2:15, where it's at. All right. Talked about some good stuff here.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Teddy B.
And I'm Jerry Corley.
All right, man. We'll catch you guys later.
Dude, before we go, hold on. Before we go, I know you've been experiencing some shit, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to share, like perfect time to share a quote from Albus Dumbledore, right? So Albus Dumbledore, and I was thinking like, this is like very cool. So I came to this conclusion. And so it's like, here's like, I'll share it with you. It's like perfect to consider for your when you're going through shit. And it's one of these is this one right here. It does not do well to dwell on dreams and forget to live.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, instead we're thinking about all the bad shit around us and the dreams we're having, and we need to sort of like so here's where I looked up some quotes that I didn't have because I did the listening technique and I was trying to do it from memory.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, there's a lot of stuff I don't remember. Like, so give me some of the quotes from Albus Dumbledore, like, or from Snape, or, take me back to some of the characters I don't remember. So for that, I used the ChatGPT to find those memories and then put them in my list, and then started creating the jokes from there. Like, here's the sort of like my listing that I did. Can you see that?
Yeah, see it.
right? And Diagon Alley. And so words, phrases, P. Diddy, Tracy Morgan, right? So I did like here's one I had an idea. What if we brought in Cardi B as Professor McGonagall? Like Black SNape can demonstrate Engorgio spell while she sings wet ass pussy.
Gorgio. I like
It
that.
makes things bigger, right? So it's
Yep.
like I'm not saying that a black actor playing Snape isn't going to change anything, but Kendrick Lamar already released a new Drake diss track called Avada Kedavra.
I like that. Those are good.
Right. So it's like
In
so
episode 4, Snape
Snape
introduces
introduces his long lost
long lost
brother
brother
Snoop.
Snoop.
That's where we learn that the levitation spell, Wingardium Leviosa, is really a powerful weed strain that gets House Slytherin high AF. So Samuel L. Jackson playing Black SNape, he doesn't even need a wand. He just brings a side eye and a pimp hand. So the other one I thought was funny was like they play Quidditch without brooms, and the winner is announced, and when the winner is announced when the snitch is found stabbed to death behind the bleachers.
I like that one.
So that again changes the entire perspective once you have Black SNape. And I start going with the perceptions of American Black. I start going putting characters in the roles.
Yes.
As soon as I thought about Samuel L. Jackson, I was thinking of Tarantino films and what would happen in True Romance and what would happen in Pulp Fiction, because those guys were basically thugs. You know, him and Travolta's character,
Yeah.
and it was like they killed people. And it was like the snitch. What would mean the snitch would take on a whole different perception of what that is.
I
right?
like that double play on snitch. I like that. That's good.
So it's like oh well, like when there's a Black SNape, a la Homora, it's not a spell, it's an expression you hear from the woman when Snape whips out his dick. And Death Eaters are a whole different group of guys with hoods. And spoiler alert, Lord Voldemort is really Tyler Perry as Medea.
I like that
Medea,
one. I like that one.
Sectum Sempra is a curse you use when the Wi-Fi goes out. Because when I was reading it, like I wasn't like, I need to, turns out I need glasses, right? I was like looking at this, I thought it said Spectrum Sempra.
Sectum Sempra.
Well, I said it still works for me.
It
I
does.
don't know. It's like if Severus Snape was played by Denzel Washington, Lord Voldemort would have moved and become neighbors with Drake in Toronto. You know, he would have rethought his entire career plan. You know, Black SNape doesn't teach Defense of the Dark Arts. He teaches fuck around and find out.
He teaches FAFO.
So that's kind of like where that came from. And then the other rant was the one I just that was the one purely out of my head. When I was like, you sent me your joke things, and I was like, oh, dude, that's a great one. There's so much more there. And me getting all excited, I think I got a boner while I was like, my thumbs were jamming on it. You know, so all that sort of just came off the top of my head. But where did it come from? It came from the listing technique that was happening in my head based on what I could think of dealing with Harry Potter.
Yes.
You know, suck at this right now with. If like I took it to the Chappelle, when I introduced Chappelle, because Chappelle, one of my favorite jokes of his goes way back in the day, and basically talks about you know, act outs. Because he's like, he says, you know, I was in the line at a drugstore, I saw a Cosmopolitan magazine, and it said that 3 ways to please your man, or 150 ways to please your man. There ain't 150 ways to please your man. There's only 3. Make me a sandwich, suck my dick, and shut the fuck up.
Yep.
You know, so of course, if we said that today, that would not be good. But that Chappelle thinking, and he's basically talking from a man's caveman perspective, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's not that, and in theory, that's how men think. Like, stop making shit up that we can't say stuff. If it's in life, it should be in your comedy.
Facts. Love that. Love that.
Right there.
Yeah. I also appreciate you guys checking us out. I'm one of your hosts, Teddy B.
And I'm Jerry Corley, aka the Joke Doctor.
And I'm AKA the Joke Doctor's assistant, working on getting my Joke Doctor's license so I don't get sued for malpractice. I'm not going to file for malpractice. Why am I going to file myself for malpractice?
Somebody's going to file against us.
We appreciate you guys listening. Check it out. Peace out, y'all. Bye.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
That was good.
Good one.
Did you smoke before this?
No, I did earlier.
I forgot.
Earlier, not right before this one, but no. What?